Good morning, YouTubers. It's a bit of a grey day today. We're going to often do a trip, I think, in the wind. It's one of those days when it's very borderline with the wind. You know, people usually get soaking wet and sick. And I don't tend to see a great deal of dolphins, but, you know, what can you do? If the wind gets any higher, then you just cancel the trips. But it's borderline at the moment, so unfortunately we're going to have to go and do the trip. Now, I've been listening to a lot of English people this morning harping on about Scottish independence, and while English people are entitled to an opinion on it, they certainly have no say in it for sure, because this is a matter for Scottish people. Even myself, I have Scottish ancestry. My mother's side of the family, my great grandparents, both sides were Scottish, came down from Scotland to Liverpool. But I'm English, so I'm not Scottish, but I do have Scottish roots. And for the benefit of my American viewers, right, I'm going to give you a very, very brief, very quick history lesson as to why Scotland is under English rule, okay? Because once upon a time there were two kingdoms. There was the King of Scotland and there was a King of England, and there were two completely different kingdoms, and they occasionally had little fights across the border and little wars and skirmishes. We've seen Mel Gibson, haven't we, and Braveheart, and Edward I. So there was always a bit of friction. I mean, even the Romans came over, invaded England, and they couldn't invade Scotland, so they built a big wall to keep them out, called Hadrian's Wall. Anyway, what's all this Scottish independence all about? Well, what happened one day, the Queen of England died and there was no heir, and the nearest cousin was James, the King of Scotland, okay? And they said to him, we'll do a deal. Why don't you come down to England and be King of England and Scotland? And he went, yeah, okay. James Stewart. Anyway, they came down and the two kingdoms united, and James Stewart was the King of England and Scotland, and it also became known as the United Kingdom. That's how it happened. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. I'm just giving you the brief version, okay? Well, cut a long story short, they didn't like the Stuarts and they wanted to get rid of them. Charles I was a Stuart king and they chopped his head off. They had a revolution. And anyway, they kissed and made up. Charles II came along, another Stuart. And various Stuarts later was James II. And they were absolutely sick of the Stuarts by this stage. But don't forget, England and Scotland had been the United Kingdom all of this time. Anyway, they hatched a plan to run James Stewart out of town, and that's exactly what they did. They got William and Mary of Orange to bring an army and run him out of town. Now, why he didn't run back to Scotland, I don't know. So he should have done, but he didn't. He went to Ireland and he raised an army in Ireland, and King Billy had to go to Ireland to sort him out. And which he did. He defeated him at the Battle of the Boyne, and that caused a lot of problems for Ireland. And that's a different story altogether. So I'm going to move over here because there's people staring at me there thinking I'm stupid. Probably see them behind me, I don't know. So anyway, the Stuarts had been flicked, and now we had William of Orange, who was a Protestant, on the throne, and Scotland and England were still the United Kingdom, and the Stuarts were kicking off because they were the rightful kings of Scotland, and they'd been double-crossed, if you like. They'd done the deal and they got rid of them, pushed them out, so you can see them being pissed off about that. Anyway, years and years later, a few generations later, Bonnie Prince Charlie came along, Stuart, and he raised an army in Scotland to try to stake his claim back to the throne, and this was known as the Jacobite Rebellion. And cut a long story short, the clans all backed him up, and they fought the British army. Okay, it wasn't a Scottish English thing; it was the British army fighting the clans of the Jacobite Rebellion, and they were crushed at Culloden, the Battle of Culloden, and that was the last battle on British soil for supremacy, shall we say, of the royal family. And ever since, the the Stuarts have escaped and went back to Europe, and they've never tried to take over the throne again. I think their line's died out now, although there's probably quite a few illegitimate heirs out there. So there we are. You've got Scotland with no king, and you've got England. It's the United Kingdom, and they've got one king, which is the King of England. As to this day, King Charles III is King of the United Kingdom. But the Scots are kicking off. You see, they want their independence, and there's no more raising armies and fighting for freedom and all this nonsense. There's a thing called the Scottish National Party, and they're doing it through Parliament, through government, which is the sensible way to go about doing things these days. And they're trying to raise a referendum to get Scottish independence. They've had a few, and they've not got the majority that they needed. But the last one, this is the bone of contention, the last one was in 2014, I think. And the Scottish people were assured, because they want to stay in the European Union, they were assured categorically, oh no, the United Kingdom is going to stay in the European Union. They went, oh okay, so they voted to stay in the United Kingdom, but only just, it wasn't a lot in it. And then what happened 2 years later? They had the referendum to leave the European Union, and the Scottish people felt ripped off. Hey, you had us over, you lied, you bastards, you lied. We didn't. If we'd have known, we would have voted out. Anyway, because Scotland voted unanimously to stay in the European Union. So this is where the fuel has come from. And so you've got Nicola Sturgeon, who's in charge of the Scottish National Party, and she wants a referendum again because they were ripped off and lied to in the last one, and the English government have said no. So she set her own referendum for next year. It's October, I think, 19th, 2023. Although I don't think it's an official referendum. I think it's just a tell us what you think referendum, just to feel the water temperature. So that's what it is. But at the end of the day, it's a matter for the Scottish people, not the English people. It's nothing to do with the English people. The English people don't even like the Scottish people. Okay, Scottish people don't like English people. Some of them do, but most of them sort of put up with each other. In fact, they won't even take Scottish money in England. You know, you've got a £10 note and you've got a Scottish £10 note. They won't take it in England. I said, why not? It's the same fucking currency. It's £10 sterling. It's £10 sterling. No, it's got Bank of Scotland written on it. We don't take Scottish money. Oh, don't you? Can you imagine that in America? If every state had Bank of Texas written on it, or Bank of Carolina, or Bank of California, and no one would take each other's money. They've got all dollar bills. Crazy. They should just have United Kingdom, Bank of the United Kingdom, and then there wouldn't be any arguments, would there? But oh no, they've got to have Bank of Scotland, Bank of England, Bank of Ireland, and no one takes each other's notes. I think they take the English ones, but they don't take the Scottish ones, and they don't take the Irish ones. And a lot of people go, no, I don't like it. It's foreign. So that's the stupid situation that you've got now in the United Kingdom, where we are waiting for a Scottish independence referendum. And the thing is, if they do get a referendum and they do stay in the United Kingdom, they won't get another referendum for donkey's years. Thanks for watching.